Hello and welcome to this special presentation right here on NDTV. Today I have the privilege of interviewing a man who has played many roles and, if I were to use a cricket analogy, has played many innings, different roles. He has been the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and who can forget that time when he was the CAG, and then he's played the role of a cricket administrator as well. I have the privilege of introducing Mr. Vinod Rai in the studio with me. He's written a new book, Not Just A Nightwatchman, My Innings in the BCCI. That's the book. Please go out there and get a copy for yourself. Mr. Rai, thank you very much for speaking to NDTV. My first question, how was this innings in your life? You know, did you ever imagine that you're going to be
thank you
part
for
of
having
a cricket
me.
board?
Thank you for having me. I've written in the book that it was with a great deal of trepidation that I felt I would ever be in the shoes of NKP Salve or Jagmohan Dalbia. So one has, all of us have played cricket in our younger days. All of us have closely followed cricket, but I never, for the life of me, have imagined that I would be a cricket administrator.
Would you like to share some of the experiences, maybe not give out all the secrets, but something that your readers should look forward to in this book? Yeah, in terms of your experience.
Lots of people have asked me that what was the challenge like? In the sense, well, I've been in the civil services, I've been a CAG, which was a bigger challenge. This was not a challenge actually, because one thing which beats us is, how is it possible that the highest court in the land gives a verdict or a direction, and there is a set of people or an institution which refuses to follow it? I mean, it's mind-boggling to even believe. And this verdict of the Supreme Court was given in July of 2016. And the court, when appointing us, has said that we will help implement the court order. You mean to say 6 months a court order, Supreme Court order goes unimplemented? It's totally unbelievable. So that is the issue.
What is your assessment? Why did this happen? Did people governing this board think that they are a law unto themselves, that they are the judge, jury, executioner, that since cricket is a religion, they are the gods?
See, what has happened is, people in the administration of cricket, not only in the BCCI but in the states also, had come to believe that they were the masters of those 22 yards. And nobody can administer cricket the way they had administered it. Now, what happens is, you sit before a mirror and you convince yourself, I'm the best. Well, I've written the book again. Sachin Tendulkar was the best. But Tendulkar's son had to prove his mettle before he got into the Mumbai team, isn't it? So there is no doubt in the mind of anybody, and least of all the Supreme Court of India, that administrators must also, after a point of time, change. Yes, you require experience, but then there are younger people. You may not acknowledge that they are as smart as they are, but at least I've come to believe, because I've seen them in our hierarchy, that they are smarter than you, they are far more agile as far as their administration powers are concerned, and then they are more hands-on and they can administer as well.
My next question, Mr. Rai, is how do you think the board has evolved from pre-administrators, that is, the board before you guys took over, and the board that you have left? Has there been any change, or is this just like a old wine in a new bottle?
You see, that's one thing which I may not be in a position to comment. I don't want to also. I'll tell you why. It's been a practice, a philosophy in my career, that if I leave an institution, I can't cut my umbilical cords with it. I've continued to follow cricket.
No, but as an observer.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying.
Because, even now the allegation is that you've got very powerful people with political connections, sons and daughters of powerful politicians who are still running the game. So how has the board really changed? This influence, political influence, the administrators used to exert before you had come in.
So how have things changed? No, see what happened. What are these institutions? All of them. I'm not talking about BCCI only. You look at badminton. You look at tennis. You look at football. All these are democratic institutions. And what is democracy? Is a question of garnering votes. Now, anybody who can muster those votes comes into a position of dominance. And that's how they are all administered. So,
and does political affiliations help in an organization as powerful as cricket? Because cricket also means money.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And you look at the last 4 administrators of the BCCI, you don't see a political affiliation holding sway across generations. So I don't subscribe to the viewpoint that it is political influence which dominates cricket in India. I think it's incorrect.
Okay. Now let's talk about some of the issues that you had to deal with when you were the administrator. This relationship between coaches and players and their supremacy. Who is more important? Whose word carries more weight? I think there are references to that in this book also. Would you like to tell our viewers?
You see, we must get accustomed to the idea that teams when they travel, teams when they play, they are always in a very high pressure environment. They are thrown together, 15 people, coach, bowling coach, fielding coach, head coach, etc., thrown together. They are on a tour abroad and they are under pressure because before every game, and I was quite surprised when I saw them so closely, that the players come under so much of pressure. You know, they are tense, they are worked up, that performance becomes the hallmark of the day. Now, and after every game, after every day's game, they analyze it so closely that there is bound to be differences in perception. Coaches and the captain or the player is on the ground. He's actually the one performing. Coach is sitting at the back and watching. He's a senior, more experienced player, no doubt. But the fact remains that they have to be on the same page. Otherwise, there is no synergy.
Do you think that is a function of respect? And once that respect, that trust is broken, that's where the problems emerge. Because I may not agree with an opinion, but if I trust your opinion, I may just want to go ahead with it.
It is a question of building up trust. You may be right there. Building up trust with each other and having faith in the fact that yes, what I am being advised is actually something which will be able to deliver.
Yeah, no, for instance, while you were administrator, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I am no champ as far as administration is concerned, the Kumble Virat controversy unfolded. Do you think that this was or could have been perfectly avoided had there been this trust in play?
You see, number one, let me make it very clear. It was not a Kumble versus Virat Kohli controversy at all. Unfortunately, it's been seen, and that I've made it clear in it, that Kumble was selected by a very distinguished committee of selectors. This is called the Cricket Advisory Committee. You had icons like Sachin, Saurabh and VVS Lakshman making the selection. Unfortunately, the selection was made only for 1 year.
Okay.
And in the contract, there was no extension clause. Now here is this committee of administrators which is taking charge on the 30th of January. First job is fight the governance, the finance model that the ICC is doling out to us. That's been dealt with in the book. Second is fight to ensure that the IPL is actually conducted, and also fight to ensure that the Indian team participates in the Champions Trophy. These three were, and all of them were April. Champions Trophy, of course, was starting in June, but was there. And suddenly we are told in April, first week of April, that Kumble's term is coming to an end and there is no extension clause. I am on record to say that a person with a track record of the kind that Anil Kumble has, and the kind of coaching capability he would have, if he had an extension clause, I would have automatically extended. But unfortunately, when we spoke amongst each other, all that Virat said was that the younger members of the team feel intimidated. That's all. So it was not directly Kohli versus. I have a feeling that both were legends and icons of their own type. Left to each other, they would have been able to be managed. But considering that there were people around them,
number of functions and factors at play.
Exactly,
Okay.
and that's where we were taken by surprise because we couldn't extend his.
Mr. Rai, would you say that you have come out richer in terms of wisdom and experience post this innings of yours?
Certainly. My respect for the player has gone up 100-fold because the way we treat him, and that's why, in fact, I've dedicated this book to the players. And I've mentioned it, that BCCI today is the richest sports body in the world. Why? Because those 11 athletes play on the ground. And because they are famous and the whole world wants to watch them, they generate revenue. And that revenue goes to the BCCI. And the poor players are then at the mercy of these administrators to dole out that revenue. So it's a classic case. Yeah. It's really a classic case.
Now, it'll be a great deal of disservice to our viewers if I have you in the studio with me and I only talk about this innings and not your earlier innings. Mr. Rai, your innings as the Comptroller and Auditor General, CAG, the 1,76,000 crore rupees 2G scam, which was unearthed, which was spoken about, there were arrests, and then there were acquittals. Do you think that the Congress, because of these acquittals, got substance when they said that this was politically motivated? Nothing came of it.
Why did the acquittals come about? Did the audit report have anything to do with it?
No, it was a trial.
No. That's where the public perception is not very accurate. See, the function of audit is to look at the files and papers, conduct audit, prepare a report, give it to Parliament. Our job finishes there. We do audit. We do not do investigation. There's a lot of difference between the two. Now, after we had submitted our report, then there was an inquiry and an investigation. The Supreme Court, which cancelled the licenses, has very clearly said it in its verdict that we are not going by the report of the CAG because it is under discussion in Parliament. We are basing our verdict, our order, on the investigation done by the CBI. Now, whether there's an acquittal, there's a prosecution, or there is criminality, any of those
that has
things,
no bearing on your original finding.
Absolutely.
But the point is, you must have heard allegations back then also, your meeting with LK Advani, your meeting with certain other leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party, you doing this at the behest of a political organization to malign the government in power, and all of this getting more traction with the fact that there were acquittals.
Okay, let me correct one thing. There was never an accusation that I met LK Advani. In fact, I've never met him face to face. In my life, I admire him as a leader.
But you are aware of these allegations, aren't you?
Not LK Advani. I'll tell you where I'm coming to it. Not LK Advani, because there never was any such allegation raised. Why LK Advani? He's a very tall leader. I had never met Mr. Arun Jaitley. The person I met, and I met repeatedly, was Mr. Murli Manohar Joshi. He was the PSC chairman. I met him in his office. We as a team have met him in his residence. Never met him alone, always with my team. Now, any conclusion that you want to draw, you are welcome to draw, because there is, the CAG is an adjunct to the PSC. He has to sit next to the chairman of the PSC and interact with him at all times, which is exactly what I have done.
Fair enough. But Mr. Rai, final couple of questions. Do you think that the manner in which you audited the 2G case could have been done differently also, given the fact that the government back then said that 2G was already becoming an obsolete technology, and that is why we adopted a first come first serve instead of going the auction route. Do you feel that your methodology could have been different now in hindsight?
our methodology has nothing to do with the principles of the court, the government adopted. Government lays down certain parameters on which their policy is premised. We have no quarrel with those parameters of the policy. We are not an institution which dictates policy. We have not done it at any stage. If you read that report, the first page of the report says so. The government prepared the parameters for the 2G dispersal of licenses. Our audit has followed it to the letter. And all that we found was those parameters that the government laid down, those terms of references, were not followed, which has been accepted by government. That yes, the goalpost, the word used was the goalpost was shifted. And that's so we at no stage ever claim that we either propound policy or that we are recommending a particular policy.
And you stand by your original report?
Just no two ways about it. 100% I do.
Even despite the fact that there are acquittals? And that has become a political issue?
No, acquittal has nothing to do with it. You see, you look at let's go back to the Kargil days. You remember some coffins were ordered?
Correct.
There was a CAG finding on
Correct.
it. It became such a political issue. You see, the opposition are looking for opportunities, and I think it's their responsibility to do it. The moment they get something in their hand.
You're saying your report became that political opportunity for the BJP? Allegation is it was designed to be a political opportunity.
No. That's why I'm saying you starting from the Mundra case, the Jeep scandal, and I'll take you through the coffin scandal, and then comes the 2G, the common guilty report. The CAG finding will always be against government. Now, how the opposition uses it is an entirely thing. I mean, these allegations were against Mr. G. N. Chaturvedi. I mean, such a tall person. Every CAG has had to face this. That there is a finding. Well, you can say that there are alignments, arguments, etc., etc. Part of the game.
All right, Mr. Vinod Rai, thank you very much, and we strongly recommend that our viewers too grab a copy of this book, Not Just a Night Watchman. We just got a little bit extra from Mr. Vinod Rai on the 2G scam as well through the course of this interview. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me over. Thank you very much.